second chance in the game.
All right, I'm going to be talking about how we like to pressure the quarterback from multiple different fronts. We've had a fantastic last 3 years here. Highlight some of the different statistics that we've had. We were third in the nation in pass completion percentage against holding opponents to 46%. We've been seventh in the nation in sacks per game, 3.4 sacks per game. This last year we were second in the nation. Mike Riley, an Illinois guy for us, led the nation in sacks. We were 12th in tackles for loss per game at 8.38, 14th in interceptions, 19th in third down defense at 30%, 26th in yards per rush, 27th in red zone defense, also 27th in yards per play, and pass yards per play, and 33rd in the nation in points per play. Our offense is a spread offense, so I think that's a good stat to have is points per play because our offense plays the most plays in the nation. So we're going to play the most possessions of defense in the nation each week. So as we look at that, we're playing a lot more plays than other people. So I want to see how many points we're giving up per play and per possession. So we're going to get right into it here. All right. So we're a 3-3-5 personnel defense. All right. We're the spread defense. We like to spread around the love and get a bunch of different fronts. So what I'm going to show you here is our 3-down fronts, our 4-down fronts, our 5-down fronts we get into, and our 6-down fronts. We run a variety of different coverages, which I'll talk about in my next video. So I'm going to really focus here on the box play, and in the next video I'll kind of focus on what we do on the coverage and behind it. Everything starts for us in a 3-man rush. If we're able to just rush 3, we're able to get an extra guy in coverage. And if we can get sacks rushing 3, man, I'm going to do it a lot of the time, all right? So we're going to snap here to the end zone, all right? So we're just in a 3-3 stack here, all right? Love the 3-3-5 personnel, all right? We'll keep that on the field as much as possible. Try to create some mismatches with our linebackers on some tackles or potentially some guards. All right, so we're just lined up in the stack, 6-man box. All right. One thing we allow our defensive linemen is we teach them about protections, and I never talk about a true contain rush. I tell them that they get home, go get some sacks. All right. We have linebackers in most of our coverages watching the quarterback. They're in charge if the quarterback scrambles. All right. We don't necessarily want them going inside just to go inside, but we teach them if they get overset, go inside, and you don't have to really worry about contain. Our linebackers will clean it up. So here we're going to highlight Mike Riley, who led the nation in sacks last year. Just a 3-man rush. And he's working an edge. He gets overset, and he clubs and arms over here. All right. We're sending our nose guard to the boundary. He's kind of got a 2-way go on the pass rush situation. All right, our field defensive lineman's working his hands, working an edge here. And there we end up with a sack. As you can see, our linebackers, the guys are all focused, locked on the quarterback. And if he scrambles now, you can see our linebacker is able to clean it up. It becomes essentially a kickoff for our linebackers, and they'll rally to the ball carrier in our zone coverage. So if you can rush 3, all right, now let's bring our 4th rusher. Rush 3 and get a sack, let's bring our 4th rusher. Maybe that'll increase our odds. All right, we try to figure out what side is going to be the man zone protection side, all right? We want to target the running back as much as possible in what we do in our plan. So here's just an example of bringing one linebacker to the B gap out of our stacked front and trying to get that man side, all right? Here we're in our inside front, we're in 4 eyes. So within our stack, we can be head up, we can be in 5 techniques, we can be in 4 eyes, we can be in a 4-eye on one side. We can have our linebacker outside the tackle. We can do a different variety of things. But the first thing that we talk about is in a 4-eye is if our linebacker is coming to the B gap here, you're a C gap rusher. Our nose guard is going to work opposite here. So we're thinking one of 2 things is going to happen here. Our linebacker rushing the B gap. He's either going to be one-on-one with the tailback because we guessed right and this is the man side, and the guard is going to go into the zone side of the slide, or this guard is dual reading for both of these linebackers coming, and the guard's going to pick him up, all right? So as we play, you can see it looks like we are getting the one-on-one with the tailback that we want, but you see this guard dual read. He dual reads, and we get a double team of our linebacker. So they are blocking 6 players with our 4 rushers. Every time I see that, that is a win for our defense, if I can keep this tailback in the rush. Meanwhile, over here on our edge, all right, we go from a 4-eye to a 5 technique, and we're just ripping, working an edge. All right, then you recruit some pretty good players. Or in high school, you develop some pretty good players. And there's Matt Mahala coming off the edge, knocking the quarterback's helmet off. So our adjustment off that is our linebackers are coming over to the sideline saying they're getting double teamed by the guard or the running back, all right? So now we're going to bring our nose to the side. We're rushing our linebacker in the B gap, all right? Knowing if the nose comes here, the guard's going to have to take him, and we're for sure going to get a one-on-one with the tailback if we pick the man side correctly, all right? A lot of teams we play, their side and shotgun that their tailback goes to is going to be the man side. If they're a team that 50% of the time they'll switch things up, we'll have something we'll talk about coming for them here in a minute about how we know we're going to be right. So we're bringing our linebacker to the B gap. We're bringing our nose to make sure we get our one-on-one with our linebacker, and our linebacker, all right, hitting it on the quarterback's clap here, I believe. And he's in the backfield about 3 yards deep before the tailback even touches him, rips through, and we're able to get the sack there. Across the board, all right, we're rushing our edge rushes from our 5 techniques. Our nose is working this direction, all right, and our linebackers are watching the quarterback for scramble. All right, so once you're able to bring those rushes from a linebacker, and that's all you do, now here is your counter off that. So instead of running a 4-man stunt, all right, out of our odd, you necessarily can't do this. So this is our way to run a traditional 4-game twist out of our stack. So we'll go to the tight here, all right. So our linebacker is targeting the B gap like he has in the last 2 clips that we've talked about. But now our defensive end, once he sees that color, all right, is going to wrap underneath. So we've thought, hey, this is our man side. This is the zone side, so we've picked well, all right. Our linebackers that aren't rushing are watching the quarterback in their zone, and it's 2-on-2, all right. Our linebacker and our D lineman versus the tackle and the guard. They don't pass it off very well. We come nice and tight, and we end up there with another sack on the 4-man rush. So here's an example of we necessarily don't know this team what side is going to be their man and their zone side. So let's bring 2 linebackers here, all right? With our coverage, our middle stack linebacker, our Will here, is man coverage on the tailback. If that tailback blocks for this certain coverage, we're going to add on to the rush, all right? So if they're going to have 6 to protect, we're going to rush 6, all right? Our nose guard is going to work over here to the left, and our 5 techniques are going to be edge rushers. So what we're bringing here, we've identified at this point, this is now our man side. Our linebacker's going. Our other linebacker, our Will linebacker, owns the tailback and man coverage here. Tailback and guard go to block the stack linebacker coming. Our guy in man coverage, our Will, on the tailback identifies that his guy is no longer running a route, so he can add on into the protection. He comes, and we're able to get a sack, all right? So instead of trying to guess which side the man protection was, we were going to get a good bet that we were going to end up on the man protection side no matter what here. All right, so now we're in our 4-down front, all right? So one thing that I like is double 3 techniques, not only in the pass game, but against the run, all right? It breaks down offensive line combos on inside and outside zone, and then if you do it in the run game, then you can stunt in your pass game, and you can mix them in and you can run it the whole entire game, all right? So we're in 2-3 techniques, all right? We're going to get essentially 4 one-on-one battles here, all right? Our edge over here, our edge over here. Our 3 techniques going to have a two-way go on that guard. Our 3 techniques going to have a two-way go on this guard. Now, why I like this too is no matter what, you're going to guess right which side is going to be the man or the zone side in your 4-down front, all right? If they slide this direction, well, you got a 3 technique over here with a two-way go, which we like. If they slide to the left here, now you have a 3 or a two-way go with your other 3 technique. So here we get a slide to the right. We're one-on-one, 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 all right? And our 3 technique over here has got 2 guys setting for him. Well, he's the guy that gets double teamed essentially, but he's the guy that ends up with a sack. He's vertical rushing. All of our guys are working a pretty good edge here. His guy oversets him. He humps him through and gets to the quarterback. You can see my linebackers as this quarterback starts to scramble away. Once this linebacker gets good vision, he is now tracing him for the scramble, all right? So now we're going to look at, we're stunting. So we've already seen the stunt out of the stack, but now we're going to show it out of our 4-down alignment. And again, this is our linebacker that's walked up to be a 5 technique. We like our odds versus, a slower tackle or even a really good tackle, putting a linebacker against that guy because he's not seeing the speed rush that we'll get from our linebackers against him. So essentially what we're going to run here is our inside perimeter twist. So the first thing and most important thing here is we're going to get a chop rip. We want a chop rip of that guard. So you can see our 3 technique here, chops that guard's hand down, all right? So we want a great chop, all right? Ideally, I'd like him to chop a little bit harder, but get that guard's hand off you. When he goes to replace it on you, now we're ripping through. This is going to alleviate any communication or passing off between the guard and the tackle, all right? So we get a pretty good chop, all right? A decent rip through, and then we talk about posting with this left hand on that tackle's back of his shoulder, all right? Again, I'm not necessarily worried about getting outside for outside contain. We have linebackers that can handle that, all right? So we get a good chop, all right, a decent rip, but a great post from him. From our outside, we want to get vertical upfield to sell this tackle to get him on a different plane. They're able to not communicate and shove to his buddy, and we end up with 2-on-1 on one of the stunters, and our 3 technique, who initially isn't really meant to get home in this rush, is the guy that's after the quarterback that helps, adds on to the sack. On the away side, we just have a shade and a 5 technique. Our 5 technique trying to rush an edge, and you can see a good shot of our linebackers getting to their pass responsibility on quick game and then reacting to the quarterback scrambling. All right, so now we're in a 4-down front, and we're in our 2 eyes. Again, another front I like against run and pass. Every team in the nation, when they play a 4-down team, runs their inside zone, their power, their outside zone, their pin and pull versus a 3 technique or a 2-eye or a shade. All right, I want to be in as much different fronts that you have not practiced all season against to those looks. So here we're in our 2 eyes, all right? Our linebacker has walked up the outside. In our system, we can get our linebacker to the field, to the boundary, to the right, to the left, even on guards if we want to, walked up. And our defensive linemen will transition to where they need to go based on where our linebacker's coming. So we're in double 2 eyes, all right? We're going to run cover 0 here. Our safety has the tailback in man coverage. So we're going to bring our cross dog blitz with our 2 inside linebackers. Our D-line know because we're running cross dogs in the A-gap, they are going to rush out here to the B. So you can see we're not getting a sack here, but we are getting a hit on the quarterback. Doing a nice job on our stunt, ripping through. Doing a pretty good job on the edge over here. All right. Our linebacker going head up with the O-lineman, which we do not like. We want him to work an edge. And we're getting cut by the tailback with our other linebacker. All right, with me being the linebackers coach, these linebackers did not enjoy film session on Sunday morning because I was saying that you're getting blocked by the worst offensive lineman on this crew, and we're getting cut by the tailback in the hole on a blitz that you guys are designed to get home. But luckily, our 3 technique, our 2-eye that moves to the 3 technique to get some good pressure. Just from the wide shot here, our guy that's covering the tailback in man coverage, once he identifies it's not a screen and he's going to block, because he's already high, he's going to look to go find some work, and he's able to, if this ball's caught, maybe potentially get an angle and get a tackle there. So now we're going to talk about our 5-down front. So we'll go to the tight. So now our linebackers are walked up 3 techniques. Our nose guard is a 0, and we have 2 5 techniques here. All right. So we're essentially going to get what we think 5 one-on-ones. So we're working an edge. Now they're running an RPO scheme. So they're faking to the tailback, which allows our Mike linebacker right here to be in the quarterback's face. He oversets, so we get a club and an arm over. It's a little high. We'd like this a little tighter on the arm over. Our linebackers getting a run read over here, and we're getting a pass set over here to the left 5 technique. All right, and our stack linebacker here is getting a run read, so he's coming. So this is initially just a 5-man rush. Because it's run reads, it looks like a 6-man pressure for us. Because we do a nice job here, and we got overset, we got 2 guys in his face, we ran the hoops over there, and we're getting a sack out of our 5-down front. So now we have the ability to shift to our 5-down bear front. All right, so we'll line up in our normal stack front. The linebackers will say the word shift, and we'll shift down into our bear front, which we'll see here from the end zone shot. So there's the example of the shift. So we went 3 down to 5 down, and we're getting sprint out. So on sprint out, we tell our free linebacker to evaluate the situation. Because he's his own player and a lot of the concepts we have, you can either stay in coverage. If you feel the quarterback's breaking contain, go pull him up. So we got a bunch of guys running. There's our zone playing linebacker, evaluating the situation, seeing that our quarterback has broke contain. He's going to make him pull up, and then we got the rest of the unit coming behind, all right? So we got 6 guys on a sprint out from our D linemen all around the pile there, getting us a sack on sprint out, which coaches normally, hey, let's run sprint out because we're getting sacked a bunch. When you can get sacks on sprint out, that is pretty good for your defense. So this is something cool. So now we're lined up in our bear front. We're going to play our base coverage out of this. So we're lining up in our bear front, showing that we have 5 blitzers, all right? We're going to drop our nose, and he is going to be our low hole player, all right? We're not expecting interceptions from him. We're not expecting him to chase down the quarterback, but what we are expecting him is to help out on any crossing route, to be physical with that guy. On both sides, we're going to run a stunt, our interior perimeter now stunt, all right? So we should get chop rips. Now, this is an older kid, and this kid was a freshman for us, so it's going to look better over on this side than what it does over here. So we're going to tap the center, essentially getting 4 one-on-ones, all right, with our twist, and we're going to take the center out of this and drop this and have a 4-man rush, and hopefully by 5 or 6 offensive linemen. So first technique is our chop rip, all right? He gets caught on his chop. We don't throw the chop rip over here with our young cat, but we need to sell vertically upfield with our linebackers. Once they get 1, 2, 3 with our linebackers, they're going to flip and come underneath. What we're looking for is to get the guard and the tackle on different planes, all right? And we have got that accomplished. So now if they try to communicate and pass off between each other, all right, we're on a little different planes. We want to come nice and tight off his butt. on both sides. All right. Don't get the sack here, but we're forcing the ball to come out. We'll show the wide real quick to show you what we got going on in the coverage. But we're 5 down front, rushing 4. Now we've sub personnel, so this is an athletic D lineman for us, D end, and we are dropping him in coverage. He actually is the kid that led the nation in sacks. Shame on me for dropping the kid that led the nation in sacks in coverage, all right, but it was part of what we wanted to do here. All right, here we're going to get into our 6 down fronts, all right? So we're going to play cover 0 on this clip. Some of these we can play our base coverage, but we have our linebackers walked up in the A gaps, all right? We're thinking we're going to definitely get 6 one-on-one battles here. A lot of teams will either full slide us and we'll get a one-on-one with the tailback against the D lineman, which we like. In this case, they are not going to full slide, and we're one-on-one with the tailback coming across in the B gap, which we like. We ended up getting tackled here, so we got a penalty, but we had a free run on the quarterback from the B gap against that tailback, and I like those odds every time. We end up there with the sack there on 3rd and 12. And we're just playing cover 0 coverage behind that. So here is the next year, actually the same team, and we're going to drop out of that look. So we're lined up with 6 guys. We're going to drop out of it, and we're playing our base coverage. Just show you real quick, this is how it looked in cover 0. Now our safety 14 is a little tighter when we were playing cover 0 than he is here. We kind of made the adjustment to move him back, even if we were playing cover 0. So we are getting a 5-man protection. He goes out on the route. So essentially we are getting 4 one-on-ones with the center getting really taken out of being able to help. And we're not even running a stunt, but you can see our guys are so used to running the stunt we talked about, the inside perimeter stunt, that we get it naturally over here. Working an edge, stabs, get a rip here, and we are coming underneath here for the sack. So now we're doing the same thing, but now our linebackers are lined up in the B gap. In this coverage, our weak side linebacker is going to have the tailback in man coverage. If he blocks, he's going to add on. So we get the full slide. So we're tailback versus the kid that led the nation in sacks, and he defeats the cut. Because he blocks, our linebacker is going to add on. So we essentially have 2 edge rushers right now. On the other side, we got 3 guys going into the zone protection, kind of tough uphill. And then our linebacker here is our low hole player looking for crossers. And we get the sack there. So now we're lined up with our linebackers in the B gap, and we're going to run a stunt with our perimeter first, and our insides now are going to be looping. So our linebackers are going to drop out. We're hoping to get the full slide. Potentially, we do not. All right, sometimes we, as coaches, sometimes overthink ourselves. All right, we think, hey, we line up in this front, we're going to get a full slide. We didn't. I would have liked if I would have brought this linebacker right now, all right, with a free hit on the quarterback if we were able to cover the running back swinging. But we didn't. All right, so we're a perimeter first, and once the perimeter guy, you've seen his color, you're going to stun outside as our inside guy. Now we have a linebacker walked up in the A gap, so we have a little bit more speed here. You can see he's ripping nice and tight. And we're able to get the intentional grounding sack, all right, on 3rd and 12 for a minus 23-yard loss, which helped us out pretty good on that drive. Here is, we're lined up in our 6 down front. We have a field overload. So we have a 5 technique. There's our linebacker, walked up linebacker in a 4-point stance. The other thing is we teach all of our linebacker 4-point stance. So as we're going through this video, you'll see linebackers in 3 points, 4 points, and 2-point stances. Our nose guard here is in a 3 technique. We'll walk up our linebackers in the A and B gaps, and we have a backside 5 technique here, all right? we're going to drop these linebackers out. All right, we could very well just rush them. But why we like this is we get a team that full slides, and they full slide, and their tailback comes off this edge. We still have an unblocked rusher if they're going to full slide. Here we get the full slide. All right. And we're running a stunt, so we have our 3 technique, and our 5 technique's going to loop in. And we're one-on-one with the tailback on this side. We do all this cool stuff on this side for our backside defensive end. The club rip up through the ear hole, and we're able to get a strip sack here on 3rd and 7. So here we're in 3rd and 10. We are in our front where our linebackers walk up on the outside now. We're in 2 eyes of 2 5 techniques and 2 wide 5 techniques. We can bring everyone or we can drop out. In this case, we're just dropping out, hoping we're going to get full slide, which we do. So we get what we want. Our linebacker versus the tailback one-on-one. He gets cut, which isn't ideal. All right, we're running a middle stunt with actually our other linebacker and our boundary defensive end. They're running a pick of the center. All right, you always have the offensive lineman double team the 3 techniques. Well, here we're trying to double team the center. So we're targeting pick coming off. Normally our picker is the guy that normally comes through. There's our guy that pick coming through, and we get an incomplete pass. Here's the wide shot of it. Just dropping out our linebackers to do their base coverage. And we're rushing 4. We got 6 blocking, and we're able on 3rd and 10 to force an incomplete pass and get some pressure on the quarterback. Here we're lined up in a similar front the year before. Our linebackers are now both on the outside, and we are just bringing them all. Or excuse me, we're dropping here. And we get our D lineman one-on-one with the tailback here. And our nose here just beats the guard across his face. And we're able to get a sack there. So that's kind of what we do in our 3, 4, 5, and 6 down fronts. Not only do we always bring 3, 4, 5, and 6 rushers, we like to do those type of rushes out of all of our fronts. So if we're in a 3 down front, we'll rush 3, 4, 5, 6. If we're in a 4 down front, we'll rush 3, we'll rush 4, we'll rush 5, we'll rush 6. 5 down front, the same thing, all right? We feel that if we line up, that's not necessarily how we're going to wind up at the end of the play.